The 24 Hours of Le Mans in the 1990s was one of the best golden eras of endurance racing. It was a whole new ballgame where the Le Mans circuit had changed drastically. There was a large number of manufacturers in Group C, LMGT1, and LMP classes to thrill race fans. When we consider the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it's mostly centered on the likes of Audi, Porsche, Peugeot, Ford, Ferrari, etc. Not so much manufacturers from Japan, unless you're a die-hard sports car enthusiast. And if you are, then this video is for you to watch and enjoy. Let's dive into the JDM prototype heroes of the 1990s from Mazda, Nissan, and Toyota that define legendary at Le Mans. When it comes to winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans, it's all about the car that covers the furthest distance in 24 hours is the winner, not about who is the fastest. It takes more than just a powerful car and skillful driver. It comes down to a reliable manufacturer to test the durability of materials and exhibit innovative features on their cars. When fans witness the top dogs winning Le Mans, it's mostly manufacturers from Europe than any elsewhere really. For instance, in the 1980s, the FIA introduced Group C class regulations in '82 for Le Mans and World Endurance Championship, which lasted for a decade. Several manufacturers have joined to race in that sports prototype class and saw the dominance of Porsche for 6 years, then Jaguar and Sauber Mercedes. In that era, we saw the major Japanese manufacturers burst onto the Le Mans scene: Mazda, Nissan, and Toyota. However, Mazda was the first Japanese manufacturer to enter Le Mans in 1983 in the Group C Junior class. Toyota followed in 1985 and then Nissan a year later. The Japanese milestones have started to gain strength at Le Mans to hopefully pave their way to victory. Take a good guess who became the first Japanese manufacturer to win Le Mans. If you said Mazda, you are correct. The infamous Mazda 787B made history for Mazda as the first Japanese manufacturer to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1991, and the only one ever with the rotary engine, one of the best sounding prototypes on the planet. The news had such an impact in Japan that the TV channels interrupted their schedules to broadcast the last 2 hours of the race live. It was very mind-blowing that over almost 10 years of competing in the Group C era, all the talk was about Mazda's success. Mazda Motorsports improved the reliability of the 4-rotary naturally aspirated engine in the 787 prototypes. Essentially, the 787B was an evolution of the 767B with greater improvements in its pace and reliability, as well as many mechanical elements were carried over to the 787 and 787B with a revised bodywork for new aerodynamics. One major change led to the upgraded intake system to optimize the engine power and torque for varying RPM levels. The engineers at Mazda Speed determined that fuel efficiency was crucial for achieving victory, so they restricted the red line of the engine to 8,500 RPM and the total horsepower to 650. By the way, the 787's rotary engine was a new R26B compared to the 13J Winkel motor used in the 767. In 1990, the 787 engaged in the Grand Touring prototype class, which allowed the rotary pistons to be lighter. However, the 1991 regulation changes meant Mazda Speed knew their rotary engine would be banned a year later. The new 3.5-liter engine rules were supposed to be implemented in 1991 and were delayed a year later, but manufacturers argued how unreliable they were and being too expensive, causing the teams to retain the old proven engines. Mazda was forced to develop the new MXR-01 derived from the Jaguar XJR14 powered by a 3.5-liter V10. It was now or never for the 787B. As for the race, 3 Mazdas entered the field to test against the newcomer Peugeot, Sauber Mercedes, Jaguar, and Porsche. Mazda might not have had the fastest qualifying time against other prototypes, nor the fastest car on the grid during the race, but the most dependable machine. Mazda started below the top 10 and ended up outlasting 24 hours all day into night flawlessly when all of a sudden Peugeot and Mercedes faced mechanical failures. It led Mazda to make it to the top while the other 2 787s made the top 10, done by 3 F1 drivers, Bertrand, Johnny, and Volker. No other rotary-powered car had ever won the race before, and Mazda was the first Japanese car maker to win the event. It was so unexpected too. Toyota and Nissan were on a mission to discover ways to eradicate the field like Mazda. Next, It was Toyota's turn in 1992 to make history at Le Mans. Due to the new FIA rule changes in terms of engines limited to 3.5 liters, Toyota was forced to replace its previous CV series of Group C prototypes, which used a 3.6-liter twin-turbocharged V8. Thus, Toyota completed its new 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V10 and installed it in the TS010 car to begin early testing. A whole new chassis was also necessary to better handle the new V10. Tom Walkinshaw Racing designer Tony Southgate was in charge of designing the TS010 with a more aerodynamic and longer body than its predecessors. Toyota's main competitor came in the form of the Peugeot 905, which was also V10 powered. After Toyota showed their first success at Monza in the 1992 WSC, they were determined to enter 3 cars at Le Mans and battle against the French team Peugeot, drivers of Sikia, Raffinel, and Atchison. Despite Peugeot getting the triumph, Toyota proved the strong reliability of his V10 engine, and 2 cars were able to finish the race while one was forced to retire sadly. Regardless, an unlucky race involved collisions, spinouts, and mechanical issues that ruined the chance for victory. Toyota managed to split the 2 remaining Peugeots and placed second between them, 6 laps behind the winning French team, a feat Peugeot repeated in 1993. However, Toyota happily took second in the Teams' Championship and World Sports Car Championship and secured a Manufacturers' Championship in Group C and JSPC. But in 1993, both the WSC and JSPC were gone, and Group C was coming to an end, leaving the TS010s with nowhere to race except the 24 hours of Le Mans. With the demise of Group C, Toyota further updated the prototypes and campaigned them as the Toyota 94 CV under the new LMP1 class for 1994. Eddie, Roland, and Martini were the intended drivers for the number 1 car. The number 2 car was driven by Steven, George, and Bob behind the wheel. Toyota was honored as heroes who fought until the end at Le Mans. The reformed Group C Toyota 94 CV proved more ever reliable than the TS010, powered by a twin-turbo V8 running heavier and less powerful with the new rules, and was faster than the Dower Porsche 962 LMGT1s. However, in qualifying, Toyota placed 4th in front of Porsche, who placed 5th. And during the race, Toyota had a strong pace all race long without running into any permanent issues. However, the 94 CV was doing 2 fewer laps per fuel stint and was faster and was eventually beaten in the long run. Yet, Toyota led the race for a long time and was a lap lead ahead of Porsche just 90 minutes before the end of the race. And then the gearbox problems plagued the cars into the pits, which many experts have already called a curse. The fans cheered for Toyota to whip Porsche, for the overall victory was tarnished. Eddie Irvine was able to get the car back on the track to be within 1 lap behind the winning Dower Porsche. It sucks that Toyota was very determined to win for the first time only to get screwed over with 90 minutes to go. Toyota took a strong 2nd and 4th place between the 2 Dower Porsches that placed 1st and 3rd. It was better than a DNF and bad luck for Toyota at Le Mans, but the Japanese fighters remember the story of Mazda. Never give up. If you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button right now. It helps me a lot and it means so much. Thank you. In the mid-1990s, Nissan came back to compete in the top class of sports car racing with their GT1 Skyline GT-R LM. However, it didn't match the strength and pace of the new Mercedes, McLaren, and Porsche GT1s, which were actual purpose-built racing cars. So, Nissan needed to replace it with a racing car that bore a resemblance to its GT1 class rivals. Tom Walkinshaw Racing and Nismo operated together to develop a new prototype of the R390 GT1. The FIA regulations intended that manufacturers must build a street homologation car of the race car. Nissan built only 2 R390 road car prototypes of the racing version. Nismo chose to derive the old but proven engine from their R89C race car from the Group C era. The R390 would power the VRH35Z 3.5-liter twin-turbo V8 engine, which used an aluminum block, providing a lower center of gravity and great ability. It was tuned to make a peak of 650 horsepower, while the street version makes 550 horsepower. The R390 debuted at Le Mans in 1997, and the Nismo team entered 3 cars in black and red livery in the LMGT1 class. The Nissans were claimed as the fastest in their first competition among the Porsche works of the 911 GT1s, and their mission was to challenge them to win. However, the durability and reliability of the R390 engines were a huge concern of lasting the whole race. Yet during the race, the R390s were able to perform very well actually, until they faced a terrible disaster in a race. 2 out of 3 cars struggled with overheating gearbox issues and mechanical faults, and were tired in a race. The third R390 was able to survive the rest of the race with gearbox changes along the way, finishing 12th overall. That's why Nismo did everything it could the following year to resolve the problem. The R390s were slightly upgraded with more downforce by having an extended rear tail, a new diffuser, and a rear wing for less drag. The engine got updates to sustain reliability and way less discernment of breaking down. Nissan came back strong with 4 cars in the 1998 Le Mans race, wearing the blue and white Calsonic livery. That year's race also saw a serious increase in manufacturer interest, such as their main rival Toyota, with very fast GT1 race cars. Although Nissan was easily beaten in qualifying by the faster cars of Porsche, Mercedes-AMG, and Toyota, Nissan was able to achieve great success in the race with extremely reliable cars. As an achievement of its own, all 4 Nissan R390s finished the race 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 10th overall. However, they were unable to match the pace of the other cars in the class and couldn't place higher than 3rd, being beaten only by Porsche. Nissan never reached the Le Mans podium again, and it's the reason why the R390 GT1 remained the most successful Nissan Le Mans prototype. At the end of the 20th century, Toyota continues the campaign of the legendary TS020 GT1 sporting the iconic red and white color livery matching the Japanese flag. By the way, this is my favorite Japanese prototype of all time out of the ones we went over in this video. This brings me way back to the golden days of the racing game Gran Turismo where this car was featured. Though it's a Toyota, the body design just has a bit of resemblance to a Ferrari P4 kinda sorta as a prototype. The way it looks has grown on me, and the TS020 is something special. Despite it being one of the fastest GT1 cars at Le Mans in 1998, reliability issues plagued the project and the car was unable to beat its rivals. Toyota was the only one to retain basically the same car for 1999, although the rules changed as GT1 class was replaced by LMGTP. This caused some of the manufacturers to either retire, switch to an open top prototype, or build a new car for the new class. The GT1 was completely ahead of the time, dubbed the most prototype of them all during the GT1 era. It powered a mid-mounted 3.6-liter twin-turbo V8 facing 90 degrees to produce 600 horsepower. The Toyota team was very determined to win the 1999 24 Hours of Le Mans with the TS020s. Japan wanted to stop the German teams of Mercedes, BMW, and Audi from putting Toyota in its place. That's how desperate they wanted to win. The GT1s were again fast, starting at the top grid in front of BMW and Mercedes. Throughout the race, the GT1s battled for the lead with them and end up switching places many times amongst the top competitors. Toyota, Mercedes, and BMW were leading the race at various points. Unfortunately, history repeats itself for Toyota as all 3 GT1s went through damages and mechanical problems that crippled their performance. The GT1 was hindered by higher fuel consumption, whereas its BMW V12 LMR was able to go further with 1-2 laps more per stint. The first GT1 suffered a tire puncture caused by sharp gravel scattered on the track by other cars, severely needed repairs, and was unable to return to the pits. The second GT1 was the same story that led to a high-speed collision, destroying the car. This left the team with only one more GT1 still going strong at the top of the field. And let's not forget the flying embarrassing crash of Mercedes that cost them that whole race. During the final hour of the race, the only GT1 with the Japanese crew, Katayama, Suzuki, and Shuchiya, was chasing BMW for the lead. It suffered a tire puncture at the last minute and was forced to make it back to the pits for a new set. Toyota, for God's sake, lost a chance to challenge for the win, lost a single lap, and lost the entire race. It's such a damn shame they didn't get the success they deserve. However, they placed second behind the winning BMW and in front of Audi placing third. Toyota was supposed to win the overall 1999 Le Mans race. As a consolation prize, the number 3 GT1 did win the LMGTP class, which would have awarded them to return to Le Mans in 2000. But Toyota finally decided to exit the GT1 program and Le Mans to turn focus on Formula 1. At the same time, Nissan left Le Mans, and way before that, Mazda canceled its racing efforts as well. I hope you all really did enjoy this video. These 90s Japanese prototypes were the top challengers at Le Mans, and each of them was so unique and special in every way. But if anything, Mazda will and always remain the only Japanese manufacturer to triumph at Le Mans until Toyota won in 2018, now a 5-time winner up until 2022. Today, it's very unlikely that Nissan and Mazda will make a factory return to Le Mans. But the 1990s was an excellent era for major Japanese fighters to battle the Europeans. I'd like to hear from you guys, what is your favorite Japanese prototype from the 1990s? As always, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on my YouTube channel. It really helps me a lot and I very much appreciate it. Also, be sure to check out my merch store. The link is provided in the description section down below. There is plenty of cool stuff in there that you can explore and discover what best suits your style and personality. Thank you. Anyways, peace out, stay safe, Chris the Radar, out.